Hello, I'm Dr. Sarah Bennett. If you're over 60, this message is for you. Let me ask you something. Gently, have you been feeling a little more tired lately? Maybe walking from one room to another leaves you a bit winded. Or perhaps you wake up already feeling like your battery never really charged overnight. It's easy to blame it on aging, we all do. But what if your body is trying to whisper something more urgent? You see, many of the early signs of heart weakness don't come with loud alarms. They arrive quietly, gently, sometimes so subtle that we brush them off. But as someone who's been caring for hearts for over 20 years, I've learned that the heart often speaks in whispers before it cries for help. So today, I want to walk with you calmly, carefully through 7 silent but dangerous signs your heart may be getting weaker after 60. These signs may not shout, but if we listen closely, they can help us act early, protect our health, and regain strength we thought we had lost. Let's begin this journey together. Let's begin with the first and, perhaps most easily overlooked sign: persistent fatigue. I'm not talking about the kind of tiredness that comes after a long day in the garden or a sleepless night here and there. This is a different kind of fatigue. It's deeper, it lingers, and it doesn't quite go away even after a full night's rest. If you found yourself waking up still feeling drained, if doing small things like folding laundry or walking to the mailbox suddenly feel like chores that require an extra breath or two, you're not alone. I've heard this story many times from my patients. They say, "Doctor, I sleep 8 hours, I eat well, but I just feel tired all the time. I thought it was just age." It's a reasonable thought. After all, as we get older, our energy levels do shift. But when that tiredness starts to feel like a weight pressing on your shoulders every day, or like your inner battery never fully recharges, then we need to pause and look deeper. Think of your heart as the power plant of your body. Its job is to pump oxygen-rich blood to every cell, every muscle, every organ. And just like a town would shut down if the power plant started failing, your body, too, starts sending signals when the heart isn't pumping as effectively as it should. One of the earliest and quietest signals? Fatigue. When your heart grows weaker, it struggles to meet the demands of your body. Less oxygen reaches your muscles, your brain, your organs. And what happens? Everything feels harder. Climbing the stairs leaves you winded. Cooking dinner feels exhausting. Even holding a conversation can sometimes feel like too much. What's tricky is that this kind of tiredness doesn't announce itself loudly. It builds slowly. It creeps in. One day, you're skipping your morning walk because you feel too sluggish. A week later, you're spending more afternoons on the couch, not because you want to, but because you have to. Over time, it starts to feel normal. But here's the truth I want you to hear. Fatigue is not just a normal part of aging. When it becomes chronic, when it starts interfering with your daily life, it's a message. And in many cases, it's your heart trying to speak up. I once had a patient, a retired school teacher in her early 70s. She was sharp, active, loved tending her flowers. Then one day, she told me she couldn't finish watering her garden without needing to sit down and rest. No chest pain, no shortness of breath, just this unshakable exhaustion. After some testing, we found the cause: early-stage heart failure. The good news? We caught it in time. With some changes in her lifestyle and care plan, she got her energy and her garden back. So if this sounds familiar, if your body feels heavier than it used to, if your energy dips more than it rises, and you can't quite explain why, please don't ignore it. Don't write it off as just getting older. Listen to your body, and more importantly, listen to your heart. It may be quietly telling you it needs help. 2. Shortness of breath during light activity. Do I just need to get in shape? Let's talk about something many of us have brushed off at one point or another. Shortness of breath. Maybe it happens when you're walking up a short flight of stairs, or while bringing in the groceries from the car, or simply taking a slow stroll through the neighborhood. At first, it might seem harmless. You tell yourself, maybe I've just been sitting too much lately, or I really should exercise more. And yes, staying active is important. But what if that breathlessness isn't about being out of shape? What if it's your heart struggling to keep up, even during simple everyday activities? I've seen this time and time again, especially in patients over 60. They come in thinking they just need to move more or lose a little weight. But then we dig deeper, and what we find is far more serious. A heart that isn't pumping blood as efficiently as it used to. You see, when the heart weakens, its ability to send oxygen-rich blood to your muscles becomes compromised. Even small amounts of exertion like walking across the room or standing up too quickly can suddenly feel like a challenge. You find yourself pausing mid-task, catching your breath, wondering, when did this become so hard? What's particularly dangerous about this sign is how easy it is to dismiss. We're so quick to blame our lungs, our legs, or simply getting older. But often, it's the heart that's quietly faltering in the background. It's working harder, beating faster, trying to meet the body's demand for oxygen, but falling just short. There's one patient I'll never forget, a man in his late 60s who loved hiking with his grandkids. He noticed he'd started lagging behind, needing to stop and rest after just a few minutes. He chalked it up to age, but when he came in for a checkup, we discovered that his heart's pumping capacity had dropped significantly. He wasn't out of shape, he was out of blood flow. Thankfully, because he came in early, we were able to start treatment before things got worse. Within a few months, he was back on the trail, walking farther and breathing easier. That's why I want to be clear. Shortness of breath during light activity is not something you should ignore. Especially if it's new, worsening, or paired with fatigue, lightheadedness, or even a subtle sense of chest pressure. Don't wait until it's serious enough to send you to the hospital. Your body is always communicating with you. That breathlessness? It might be your heart saying, I'm struggling. So please, listen. Check in with your doctor. Ask for a simple evaluation. Because catching a weak heart early can make all the difference between a life slowed down by symptoms and one full of vitality and movement. You deserve to breathe deeply, to move freely, and to live fully without wondering if your next step will leave you gasping for air. 3. Mild swelling in the feet, ankles, or legs. Is it just salt or something more? Now let's talk about something many people notice, but rarely take seriously. Swelling in the feet, ankles, or lower legs. Maybe your socks leave deeper marks than they used to. Maybe your shoes feel a little tighter in the evening. Or maybe you've seen a subtle puffiness just above the ankles and thought, must have had too much salt today. It's an easy assumption. After all, standing for long periods or enjoying a salty meal can cause temporary swelling. But when that puffiness becomes persistent, when it returns day after day, or worsens over time, it may be your heart sending you a quiet but urgent message. Here's what I mean. When your heart isn't pumping blood efficiently, fluid starts to back up in the body, particularly in the lower half, where gravity pulls it down. That fluid has to go somewhere, and it often settles in the soft tissues of your legs and feet. It may look subtle at first, even harmless, but it's not. This kind of swelling, what we call peripheral edema, is one of the earliest physical signs that the heart is struggling. It's the kind of change that sneaks up on you. One week your shoes feel snug. The next, you're loosening the strap on your sandals or propping your feet up more often. I remember an older gentleman who came to see me after his wife noticed his slippers weren't fitting like they used to. He hadn't given it much thought. He figured it was the summer heat or maybe water retention from a salty dinner. But when we examined him, it turned out his heart function had dropped significantly. The swelling wasn't just cosmetic, it was a warning. What makes this sign tricky is that it doesn't usually come with pain. There's no sharp sting, no throbbing, just a slow, quiet change in how your legs and feet feel at the end of the day. And unless you're really paying attention looking down, checking for indentations, noticing how your shoes fit, you might miss it entirely. So here's my advice. Don't ignore swelling, even if it seems small or harmless, especially if it happens on both sides, comes back regularly, or is paired with fatigue or shortness of breath. Keep an eye on your socks, your shoes, and how your legs look and feel in the evenings. If something feels off, speak up. Bring it to your doctor's attention. A simple conversation can lead to early testing and early treatment if needed. The heart rarely sends dramatic signals in the beginning. It whispers, it nudges, and sometimes it quietly asks for help through something as small as a swollen ankle. So let's not miss it. Let's stay curious. Let's listen, because your body remembers everything. And if we pay attention, we can catch the signs before they become something more serious. 4. Irregular heartbeat or fast resting pulse is your heart skipping a beat. As we move from what we can see like swelling in the legs to what we can feel, let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed until it becomes serious: your heartbeat. Now, you don't need fancy equipment to know something might be off. You don't need a smartwatch or a blood pressure monitor. What you need is just a quiet moment each morning, perhaps before you even get out of bed. Place your fingers gently on your wrist or over your chest. Just feel. Is your heartbeat steady? Or is it fluttering, skipping, racing, even when you're at rest? A healthy heart has a rhythm, like a quiet drum keeping time. But when the heart becomes weak or stressed, that rhythm can start to change. Sometimes it speeds up even when you're sitting still. Other times it becomes irregular, with skipped beats or pauses that make you feel suddenly aware of your chest in a way you hadn't noticed before. One of my patients, a 72-year-old retired librarian, once told me she felt like her heart was dancing out of step during her morning tea. No pain, no dizziness, just a strange, irregular thumping in her chest. We ran a simple test, and sure enough, her heart was showing signs of atrial fibrillation, a condition that often appears with aging and weakened heart function. She was lucky we caught it early. Many others aren't so fortunate. Think of your heart like a water pump. When it runs smoothly, the whole system works in harmony. Clean water flows through every pipe. But when the pump stutters or surges, it causes pressure, changes, backup, and imbalance. That's exactly what happens in your body when your heart's rhythm is off. Blood flow becomes less efficient, oxygen delivery is disrupted, and over time your entire system can begin to struggle. These changes may feel subtle, like a small flutter in your chest, a moment of dizziness, or even unexplained anxiety. Some people notice their heartbeat when they lie down at night. Others feel it when climbing stairs or turning over in bed. And yet, many ignore it, thinking it's nothing more than nerves or a bit of excitement. But let me be very clear, your heart's rhythm is not something to brush off. If your pulse is consistently above 100 beats per minute while resting, or if it feels irregular, bumpy, or unpredictable, it's time to check in with your doctor. Irregular heart rhythms can increase your risk of heart failure, stroke, and other serious complications, especially as we age. And here's the good news: awareness is powerful. Simply making a habit of feeling your pulse once a day, perhaps while sipping your coffee or brushing your teeth, can give you valuable insight into your heart's health. It's a small act, but one that can quite literally save your life. So please, listen to your heartbeat. Tune in. If something doesn't feel right, if it skips, races, or stumbles, don't ignore it. Your heart has a rhythm for a reason. When it starts to change, it's not just a beat, it's a message. And if you hear that message, even faintly, I encourage you to answer it early, before it turns into something louder, harder to fix, and more painful to live with. 5. Mild chest discomfort or pressure. Not all heart pain feels like in the movies. When we hear the words heart problem, most of us picture the dramatic scene. Someone clutching their chest, gasping for breath, collapsing to the ground. But the truth, especially for older adults, is rarely that theatrical. In fact, one of the most dangerous things about heart-related discomfort is how quietly it can appear. Not as sharp pain, not as a heart attack scene from television, but as a dull ache, a strange tightness, or a vague feeling like someone placed a small stone on your chest and forgot to take it off. I've had patients describe it as a fullness or a gentle pressure that comes and goes. Some say it feels like a belt being pulled too tight across their upper body. Others say it's like a mild burning, not unlike indigestion, and too many simply ignore it. They say, "It's probably just gas," or "Maybe I overate," or "It must be heartburn." And yes, sometimes it is. Acid reflux can mimic chest discomfort. But here's the danger. So can a heart that's not getting enough oxygen. And the only way to know the difference is not guesswork, it's medical evaluation. One of my patients, a 68-year-old woman, came in after feeling a strange pressure in her chest every time she walked up the hill to get her mail. It wasn't pain exactly, just discomfort. She thought maybe she was having reflux. She tried antacids. She even cut out spicy food, but nothing helped. As it turned out, the issue wasn't in her stomach, it was her heart. We caught it just in time. A partially blocked artery had been quietly limiting her heart's oxygen supply. Left untreated, it could have led to something much more serious. What I want you to know is this: your heart doesn't always scream when it's in trouble. Sometimes it whispers. And in older adults, those whispers can be so easy to miss. There may be no pain, just a vague tightness, or a strange heaviness when you exert yourself. You may feel it in your chest, or not at all. Some people feel it in their neck, jaw, shoulders, or even their back. That's why it's so important not to dismiss symptoms that seem small or unusual, especially if they appear during activity and ease with rest. That's the heart's classic cry for help. Effort brings discomfort, rest brings relief. It's also why I strongly urge you, please don't self-diagnose. Don't assume it's just something you ate. Don't wait for it to become real pain before you act. By then, it may be too late. Instead, listen to your body. If you feel any kind of new or unexplained chest discomfort, whether it's tightness, heaviness, burning, or pressure, get it checked. Call your doctor. A simple test could reveal a treatable issue before it becomes a life-changing event. You've lived too long and come too far to let your heart's quiet signals go unnoticed. Let's not wait for the drama. Let's act while the signs are still gentle. Because even a small stone can feel heavy when it's pressing on your chest every day. 6. Waking up at night with shortness of breath or a dry cough. Is it just a bad dream? Or something more? Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, suddenly short of breath like the air had been pulled out of the room? Or maybe with a dry, nagging cough that doesn't seem to come from a cold or allergies? If you have, you might have chalked it up to a strange dream, or maybe a dry throat, or just getting older. But what if it's something more? Many of my patients over the years have shared stories like this. They'd wake up gasping, or with a cough that seemed to come out of nowhere, especially when lying flat. At first, they didn't think much of it. A few sips of water, a fluff of the pillow, and back to sleep. But these episodes started happening more often, and the deeper we looked, the clearer it became. Their heart was quietly struggling. Here's what's going on inside the body. When you lie flat at night, gravity shifts. Blood that normally pools in your lower body redistributes toward your chest, lungs, and heart. If your heart is strong, it handles this extra volume easily. But when the heart is weaker, even slightly, it may not pump efficiently enough to handle that extra load. Fluid begins to back up in the lungs. And that backup is what causes that breathlessness or that dry, unexplained cough in the middle of the night. It's subtle. It's easy to dismiss. You might say, "I must have been dreaming," or "Maybe I slept in the wrong position." But when it happens repeatedly, it's often a red flag that your heart is not keeping up, even while you rest. There's one patient I remember well, a kind, soft-spoken man in his 70s. He came to see me not because of chest pain or dizziness, but because he kept waking up around 2 or 3 a.m., short of breath and coughing. He thought maybe it was allergies. He tried changing pillows, even replaced his mattress, but nothing helped. After a few simple tests, we discovered his heart's pumping strength had declined. His symptoms weren't coming from his throat. They were coming from his lungs, and ultimately, from his heart. If this sounds familiar to you, please don't ignore it. Nighttime symptoms are often dismissed because they feel less urgent, but they can be some of the earliest signs of heart failure. Your body doesn't stop needing oxygen just because you're asleep. In fact, nighttime is when your heart's true condition can sometimes reveal itself most clearly. There are things you can do right away. Try propping your upper body up with an extra pillow or two, just enough to keep your chest slightly elevated. That small adjustment can help reduce fluid buildup in the lungs. But most importantly, if this keeps happening, talk to your doctor. Don't wait for it to become a crisis. Sleep is supposed to restore you. If instead it's leaving you breathless or restless, your heart may be trying to tell you something important. None of these signs on their own mean disaster is coming, but together, they form a picture, a quiet one, of a heart that might need attention. And here's the good news. Catching these signs early can truly change everything. I've seen it happen again and again. People who felt off, who listened to their bodies, got help early, and regained the energy, clarity, and peace they thought they had lost. So what can you do starting today? First, nourish your heart with anti-inflammatory foods. Think colorful vegetables, leafy greens, and omega-3 rich fish like salmon and sardines. These foods help calm the inflammation that often underlies heart disease, and they're good for the brain, too. Second, move gently but consistently. A short morning walk, a few minutes of stretching, even light gardening or dancing to your favorite old song. Your heart doesn't need marathons, it just needs regular love and motion. Third, keep track of your vital signs. Check your blood pressure, feel your pulse. Make it a part of your morning routine, like brushing your teeth. The more you know your own baseline, the faster you'll notice when something's not quite right. Fourth, protect your rest. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Make your bedroom a place of peace. Avoid screens before bed. Support your breathing with extra pillows if needed. And allow your body the full rest it needs to heal and restore. And finally, be gentle with yourself. Stress, worry, and pushing too hard take a toll on the heart. Make time each day for stillness, for gratitude, for joy. Even small moments, they matter. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Your heart has been beating for you since before you were born. It's been with you through every chapter of your life. And now, in this chapter, it's asking for your attention, not through loud alarms, but through subtle, honest signals. So, let's not be afraid of these signs. Let's welcome them as the wisdom of the body, speaking up before it's too late. Because it's never too early to start protecting the heart that has always protected you. Before we finish, I want to leave you with something deeply personal, something I truly believe. Your heart has been beating for you since before you were born, before you ever spoke your first word, before you ever saw your first sunrise. Your heart was there working quietly, faithfully, every day, every moment. And now, after all these years, perhaps it's time we start listening to it. If something in this video resonated with you, if even one of those silent signs sounded familiar, I encourage you to take action, not out of fear, but out of love. Love for yourself, and love for the life you still have ahead. Subscribe to this channel if you want more guidance on protecting your health as you age. You don't have to walk this path alone. We're building a community here, one heartbeat at a time. And if you have someone in your life over 60, a parent, a sibling, a dear friend, please share this video with them. One simple message could be the nudge that saves a life. Lastly, if you've experienced any of these signs, or if you simply want to share your journey, I invite you to leave a comment. I read everyone, and I promise you're not alone. Your heart is speaking. Let's choose to listen together.